Yeah, good morning, everyone. So you tried yesterday's example, yeah? So able to design that? If no, that is your problem then. Yeah. Whoever say no, that is their problems. Yeah. So if you say no, that is your issue. Now everywhere people will say no with you. Understood? Huh? Right? So if you don't practice, don't try, every say you will hear this no in your ears every time. Whenever you go to interview, no. Understood? Huh? Right. So you need to practice these. These are very important. Right. So once we done with these options, now we learned about object, how to deal with object. So we discussed array and object and array of objects. We call it as what? JSON. So here some more technical points you have to know. So we have to discuss object with or object with data and functionality. Object with data and functionality. Up to now you saw data with object with only data. But in the introduction I showed you about object. I told you that data, it is a collection of related type of data and logic. Object contains both data and logic. If it contains only data, then we call it as JSON. It can have functionality also. So actually, object is also known as pseudo class. Object is also known as pseudo class. Object is also known as pseudo class. In pseudo class, actually class in computer programming contains data and logic. A class contains properties and methods. Similarly, object also have data and logic. Actually, data is kept in properties and logic in functions. So that is data and logic. So syntactically, it can be like this, where some product is equal to an object. It will have key. As I showed you already, it is having value. And another key, it can have some function. So it contains both data and logic. And when there is some function in an object, then we don't call it as a JSON type. JSON is related to only data. We cannot have a function. So if only data is present, then it is called JSON. And object can contain functionality also. We can have functionality. Generally, how the functionality is defined. So let's see. So we will create one object. And we will see how we can manage. Okay. So we are creating an object where product is equal to object. This contains, product contains some name It's a string type. I'm just giving some name, and it can contain some price, which is number. It contains some quantity, so that is also number. Now it needs total, and total is not a value. So total is an expression which should calculate quantity into price. That means total have to do some functionality and return the result. So you cannot define, that means it needs a function. So you cannot define like this. This dot quantity is equal to this dot quantity into this dot what price. That is not valid. You cannot do any type of calculation like this in an object. If you want to do some functionality, then you have to define like this. We have to configure as a function. And this function have to return this dot quantity into this dot price. I already given in the definition. The members of an object are accessed inside object by using which keyword? This. They are accessed outside by using the reference of object name. Outside we access object name dot key name. Inside object, the members are accessed by using this. So now what total will do? Total is going to return the result of quantity into price. So that means whatever result comes, it will be stored here. Now what we have to do, we can have another function. Suppose print is another function. This function should print all details. Then document dot write, we will say name. Name comes from this dot name. And next line price. Price comes from this dot price. And in the next line, quantity comes from this dot quantity. And the next line total comes from this dot total. But total is a function. You have to use a parenthesis. Total is a function. So what it will do, it will return a number, quantity into price. Now this is another function. So now object contains both data and logic. What is advantage of this is you can reuse this logic. As of now, you see now what I am doing. I am keeping empty. I am keeping this 0. I am keeping this also 0 like this. Now, how you can reuse for different objects? Just what you have to do. We have to use a simple product dot name. It is coming from prompt. We will use prompt. We will say enter product name. After that, we have product dot what price. We will use a prompt. So, and we say enter price, but it should be calculated for result, right? Then we have to use what? Parse float, because it can be fraction. Another one, product dot quantity is equal to parse int prompt, and we will write enter quantity. So, and we have simply product dot print. It will print all the details. What about total? It will calculate all the total internally and it will return. So now I run this here, and you can see first it will ask what is the product name. So product name, I entered some name, and product price, I entered some price, and quantity is 3, and it will print all the details like this. So we are defining new details, some Nike casuals, and price, and we have some quantity and total, it will print like this. Now this time we are using an object, and the purpose of this object to have both data as well as logic. So if only data is present, it is called as what? JSON. If it contains functionality also, then we call it as object, general object, right? So object can contain both data as well as logic. And how do we access? This is the process here. Already we know the points. I will give one more here. That is, so the members of object are accessible within object using this keyword. So a function in object can return any specific value or functionality. Any specific value or functionality. Right. So this is an example for object. So I will create one example here. I will post this example. This is a sample example for that object. So what you learned previously was about only data. Now you know that object can contain both data as well as function. So if any calculation it have to do, any result it have to return, then it can be done by using a function. Directly expressions are not allowed. We cannot directly write the expression. We have to follow this, right? Now about this object, some important questions are there. So asked in interviews, some important questions. What are the basic questions regularly about object you will get is, first important question is how to read all keys from an object. That is the first regular question. How to read all keys from an object, because some object is coming and we want to deal with that object. Then first we should know about that object, because API is something which we are not creating. Somebody created an API and that data is coming to us. We are trying to use it. And if some data you have to deal with and you don't know about it, then how to know what it contains? For example, you are a Java developer. In Java, you have to work with several predefined libraries. You have to work with a lot of libraries, several predefined classes, right? Now, if I ask you a question like, you haven't designed a class, somebody created a class and they given that class to you. And what is your responsibility is to implement the class and design. Now, if you haven't designed the class, how you know about the class? What properties it contains? What functions it contains? Methods it contains? How do you know? Question understood? You are a Java developer or a .NET developer or a C++ developer. Some class is given to you. You have to deal with that class, but you haven't designed. Then how do you know what that class contains? No? Obviously, in real time, we will not design the classes every time. We just use the classes designed by somebody. Right? Then how do you know? Without knowing about a class, how you will implement it? For that, every OOP language provides a concept called reflection APIs. In Java, .NET, C++, you will have a concept called reflection API. This reflection API allows the developers to know about the classes they are dealing with. This is a separate library. They have to use this, and by using this, they can know what a class contains. That means any software developer in the world in real-time projects, if he is a Java .NET developer, before dealing with a class, first he should know about the class. And that is possible by using a reflection APIs. Every technology it will contain. For example, every OOP language it contains. Suppose I say Java reflection API. You see, this is reflection in Java. And what is it? It is an API used to examine and or modify the behavior of methods and classes and interfaces also. That means to examine a class or an interface and the methods, how they work, a developer needs to know about this API. Compulsory this is. Otherwise, in real world, you can't work. That means in real world, nobody sit beside you and tell that this class contains these methods. They will just give you a class and they will ask you to implement a functionality. You should know what that class contains. You should know what that method functionality is. All such things we can examine by using this reflection API. It is not only in Java. Every OOP language have this. That means suppose C# reflection API. This is reflection API. This is in .NET. .NET have a reflection API. Java have a reflection API. Even in C++ also you have reflection API. So that is the simple point actually. That means what I am saying, somebody designed an API that you are using. How you will know about what type of data is coming? How to read all the keys, right? To read all the keys and know the keys, you can have two techniques. So by using for in iterator, so or you can also use by using object.keys method. We can also use object.keys method. By using the for in iterator or by using object.keys. By using these two, we can read all the keys. For example, we want to know what are the keys available. So let's see here. I copied this program, right? Yeah. So let's see here. Suppose we have an object with few details I will give. Okay, that means object is having name, price, quantity, and stock. Suppose stock is some boolean true or false. This is the object that we created. So we know exactly what it contains. But you are dealing with some external object. Let's do one thing. We use fetch from http://fakestore.api.com/ what products and one. I'm fetching one product and I will use it then callback function response and return response dot what JSON. This is a parameter which you can give any name, doesn't matter, but that parameter represents a response. That's the reason I'm using the word response, but you can use any word. XYZ also works. Now another one dot, then we have to create a function. It is accessing product. Now I want to know what this product contains. That means what it have. So without knowing that, how we can use? Then I will do one thing. For where property in product, it is going to read every property in an object, and we will print the property document dot write. We will print that property and break, and you can see now it is going to display all the properties present in an object, and you can see here it is going to return all the properties. That means it is going to return the properties. So it says that it contains all this. Yesterday you saw NASA API. One of the major doubt is, so many things are there in that, how do I know? Just write a simple for in. It will read all the elements and show you. It will show what it contains. So this is one technique. You can read all the properties from an object by using for in. So syntactically you write like this: for where property in object, and you can read every property. So that is one example. Is this? I will copy that example. This is the syntax one method. How we can access all the keys. How we can access all the keys. There is another technique. Instead of using this for, you can use another option. I am not using that for, so it is not going to show anything. I can use object dot keys method. Object dot keys, it is a method. It is expecting which object? Object name. Object name is product. Now what it will do is, it is going to return an array of all the keys. That means how many keys are present, it will return an array. And all keys are string type na? That means it is an array of string. How to print array of string? This is an array of string. How do we print? We can use a map. Because it is returning an array of string, then we can use a map. So we will use a function, and we will read every key, and we will print it. That means document dot write, we will print the key. I will put a BR here. Now again you can see this is also working fine. That is same. This time I am not using for in, I am using object dot keys. So if anyone asks like, how do I know what keys it contains? Then by using a simple logic, you can get it. So you can use two techniques. So one is for in, another syntax is, we can use object dot keys and object name. And this is actually going to return an array. Then what we do? So on this, we will apply a map. We will read every key and we are going to print it. I am not using a semicolon means it is continuing to next line, right? We can use the word map beside it just or below. I am using. So this is going to return an array so that we can read and we can print. So this is example for that. I will copy this example here. Okay. So two techniques are there. How do we read all the keys and know about the keys? That is one question. Second question is, that is one question. Second question about object is, how do we know about the data type in key? How do we know the data type of key, data type of value in key? How do we know about the data type? What type of data it contains? How do we know? That means, is it having a number? Is it having a string? How do we know? For that, we have an option by using type of operator. By using type of operator. By using type of operator, JavaScript have an operator called type of. By using this operator, we can know its data type, what type of data it is having. So we can know that by using type of. For example, see now, I want to know their data type. Is ID, title, price, what they are? I want to know. Then actually, here we are printing the key. So here we will print the key. After that, here I will put a square brace. I will access here expression type of object name. Object name is product. Product of what? Key. Product of key is nothing but it is going to return the value. The value present in that key. And we are returning the value type. That means we can access the value and we are not printing the value. We are printing its type. Type of that value. That means it can return the data type of the value present inside that key. That means now you can see it is going to present. I will put a break. Okay. And you can see it is going to present their data types also here. That means ID is a number, title is a string, and price is a number, description, and rating is an object. If rating is an object, how to read inside object what are present again? Inside it again, we have to use object.keys. Right? You have to use an iterator inside iterator. We can read again. So how do we know what keys are present? And how do we know what are the types? For that, this is another example. So syntactically, we write like this. We use type of object of key. So it will return value type, value data type. Under that key, what value is present, its data type it will return. That is type of. So that is type of. This is example for type of. How we can read the options. So two important questions in interviews is, how do we know what keys are present? How do we know their data type? Another important here is, suppose, so another question is, how to know the total count of keys in object? Can you write? Can you write a program for this? How to know the total count of keys in object? That means how do we know how many keys are present? Is it 6 or 10? How do we know? It's a simple point actually. We have object dot what? Keys. Keys. From which object? Product. It is going to return all the keys array. Then dot length. Dot length will return count now. Because it is an array. How do we know how many elements are present in an array? Dot length. That means it will count the number of keys and show. Right? That is a simple technique. How we can know the total count. So we can, because this is returning an array. And if it is an array, how do we know its length? By using a property called length. That means it is going to return how many keys are present. Right? That means what we have to do simply, I am just writing here, document.write. So total number of keys, right? How many keys are present? We have to use object dot keys and what it is, product dot what length. We are returning the product length. That means how many keys are present. It have to count and display that. How many keys are there, it will display. That's a simple approach. How we can read the keys and how we can use them. Right. So that is a simple logic of finding the length. How many are present. This is another one. Next important is related to object. Another option is how to find the existence or how to search, how to find the existence. I will give existence of key in product, in object, or you can say how to find a key. So existence of key or how to find a key means how do we know whether a particular key that we are looking for is there or not. Suppose I want to know whether fake store people have quantity or not. Quantity of product. Whether fake store people are having stock or not. I want to know whether a particular key is present or not. So how do you know whether particular key present or not? For that we have to use in operator. By using in operator we can verify. That means you have to just use the key and in and object name. That means what it will do, it will return true if exists, if present, right? Or you say it returns true if found. That's what we can say. That means if that key found in that object, it will return true. If not, then it will return false. So how to verify whether a key present or not? We have to use this technique. That means, for example, here I am writing a simple option like, so is a fake store product having a stock details. That is the question. So how do we present it? That means we have to look for which field, stock. Stock in which object, product. We are looking for stock in product object. That means you see now it is going to return the true or false. That means it says false. Is fake store product having stock details? No. It's not having. Okay. Is fake store product having price details? So here we have to search for what? Price. Price in product. That means it will return true. it is going to verify whether that particular key present or not. So that is done by using this technique. So using this technique, this is used to find the keys. This is example for that. These are all regular questions. When you attend interviews, majority interviews questions related to arrays, strings, objects, functions. Everything will be around this concept only. That's the reason these kind of questions are common, right? Next important is another question is how to remove a key from object. How do we remove a key from object? Suppose object has some keys, I don't want a particular key. Then what you can do is by using delete operator, we can do that. By using delete operator, you can do it. You have to just use the syntax like this. You have to say delete object dot key. That's it. It is going to remove that particular key. So remember, it is not permanently deleting the key from object. It is deleting the key while reading the object. While reading, it is removing. It is not going to affect in the database. To affect in the database, you have to write server-side programming, API server-side programming. So here we are deleting just because we don't want it in the front end. That means it is not removed from their original database. While reading, for you, it will not show. That is not a permanent deleting temporarily for front end. That you can do by using delete. That means what you can do here. Suppose we are printing details. I am printing document.write. I am printing here title. Okay. And title, how to get product dot what title. In the next line, I am printing price. Price is equal to what? Product dot price. So I am printing two details. One is title and price. It is going to print the product title and price. We are accessing that product title and we are accessing the product price. It is showing title and price. Now what I will do is, before it reads, I am using delete product dot price. I am deleting price property. And when we do delete price here, it says undefined. That means price is removed temporarily. That means an object may contain a lot of keys. One key I don't want for a particular instance. Then we can simply do that by using delete. If I remove this delete, then price is still available. It is going to display the price. Right? So we can delete any particular property from an object. So we can delete any key from an object by using what? Delete operator. So this is an example for that. These are all the important questions about object. So what are the basic questions? How do we know what keys an object contains? Second, how do we know what type of data is present in those keys? How do we know how many keys are present? How do we verify whether a key present or not? Right? How do we remove the keys from an object? But unfortunately, for all these things, we are using explicit methods. We are using explicit methods. That means how to delete a key by using which operator? Delete operator. Is this operator belonging to object? No, it is an additional JavaScript operator we are using with object. How you are reading all the keys? By using object.keys. You are using an external method for reading. So object is not having any internal methods like array dot length will get count, array dot find we can search inside array, like that object is not having. Everything we have to use external. Array dot pop, it will remove the last item, but object dot delete not there. We are using separate operator. So to deal with object, everything is explicitly required. That is the reason one of the main problem with object is issues with object is all keys in object must be string type. That means we cannot have number key, we cannot have a boolean key. Sometimes we want keys number 1, under 1 some value, 2, under 2 some value, but object cannot have numbers as keys. In every object, key must be what type? String type. So all keys in object must be string type. Another important is all manipulations require explicit methods and operators. All manipulation requires explicit methods and operators. Hence, it is slow. Object is slow. That is what the problem with object. When you are dealing with a collection of keys and values and you are trying an object, it is obviously little slow. Why? Because it requires all external methods to use. And when you are using external methods, it is slow. To overcome this problem, so in JavaScript ES5 and higher, they introduced a concept called map type. They introduced a new data type called map type. Earlier in versions, we used to have a set type also, but now these days we are not using set type. It is outdated now. Map type, what is advantage is, it is also a key and value collection. Key and value collection like object. It is also a key value collection like object. But what is advantage? Key can be any type. Can be any type. That means you can have a number key, you can have a boolean key, you can have a string key. But in object, key must be string type. You cannot have other types. So map key can be any type. And important, so value can be any type. In object also value can be any type, but key must be string type. Another advantage here is map provides all implicit methods for manipulation. It provides all implicit methods for manipulation. Hence, it is faster than object. It is faster than object. But problem is there. Problem is, but it is schemaless. Schemaless means what? Structureless. It is structureless. So if you are looking for structured data, then the best option is object. If you are dealing with structureless data means one is number key, another one is string key, another one is boolean key, that is not structured. If you are dealing with any structureless data, generally we do that. When you are dealing with structureless data, then you can better go with a map. When you are dealing with structured data, then always use an object. Remember, data is majority always structured. These days we have structureless data also coming in. And to deal that, map is the best option because it have internal methods. Actual here, structureless data, so much is there. Later I will show you the point. For example, suppose you are using databases like Oracle or MySQL or SQL Server like this you are using. Suppose in these databases, I want to store some user details. Actually, those details comes from a form. The user details comes from a registration form. And important, to register a user, there are 20 fields. And in the 20 fields, 8 are mandatory and other 12 are optional. That means we designed a registration form. In that 20 fields will be there. In that 8 compulsory they have to fill, others they can leave. That means total how many fields are there? 20. Now tell me, in a database table to store this data, how many fields table I have to create? To store all the users information, how many fields table I have to create? 8 mandatory, others are optional. We don't know which one who will fill. Some people may fill all 20. Some people may fill 9. Some people may fill 15. Now, is it possible that in your Oracle, one row have 5 columns, another row have 10 columns, another row have 18 columns? Is it possible? It is possible in databases like MongoDB. You heard about MongoDB, right? It is schemaless, structureless. It supports different approaches also. That means, do you know, they have dynamic queries. Like at the time of registration, he filled 8 fields. A row is created with 8 fields. Another person filled 12 fields. Second row will be 12 fields. It is structureless. Such structureless data we cannot manage by using JSON. JSON is completely structured. That means every row should contain same number of columns. But structureless data also can happen in JavaScript based technologies. MongoDB is non-SQL. You know, your Oracle, MySQL, all are what? SQL queries, na? MongoDB uses JavaScript methods. It is completely JSON type. And it can even deal structureless data. That is the advantage of those type of databases. So that is the reason in different software technologies these days, people use that MongoDB as database because they don't want any structured data. They want some structureless data to deal. But they have their own drawbacks and all. But what is the advantage of map? It is more faster when compared to object. How it is more faster? Because it is having all internal methods. For example, syntax, we have to create var data is equal to new map. Now, how to store data into it, how to read data from it, how to delete, how to find, how to get all details. For that, ready-made methods are present. That means it provides method. That means, so a method and description. It have ready-made methods to handle. What are the ready-made methods we are having to handle? We have methods like, so we have methods like set. So it configures a new key with value. We have get. So it can access value with reference of key. We have like delete. So it removes a key. We have clear. So it removes all keys. So we have size. So it returns the count of keys. So we have like hash. it finds a key. So we have keys. So it returns all keys. We have values. So it returns all values. We have entries. So it returns all keys and values. That means everything is present internally. That means these kind of methods are not possible on an object. But map is already having internal methods. In an object, how to delete any key, we have to use an extra operator called delete. But in map, what is advantage? Directly there is a method called delete. In an object, how to find whether key is present or not, we have to use extra in operator. But here we have a simple method called has. Has will verify whether key present or not, and it will return true or false. So if I want to know how many keys are present, I used an extra program, object.keys.length. But here simply dot size, it will return the keys count. That's very easy. That means dealing with a collection. But problem is it is completely structureless. Structureless means what? One key can be number, another key can be string, another key can be boolean. Then accessing structureless data is little risky because we don't know at which index what key is present and what type it is dealing with. Of course, we can write some logic and read them, but it is completely structureless. It is very fast when compared to object. In latest interviews, they are asking this question. That is the reason we have to discuss about that. That means in latest advanced JavaScript technology interviews like Angular and React, they are asking this. They are asking that what is difference between an object and key in JavaScript, object and map. Right? What is difference between object and map? Both are key and value collections, but object contains only string type keys. Map contains various types of keys. And object is slow because it needs all explicit methods. And map is fast because it have all implicit methods. Object is structured, map is structureless. These are important. Let's see here. Suppose how do we create a map? Just we are creating var topics is equal to new map and topics dot set. In that we have to just put a key one. It is suppose HTML is markup language like this. Some information. And after that topics dot set. And here I say categories. Under that categories, we have an array. So we have array like some daily, say electronics, some fashion like this. We can have any kind of data. But one is string type, another one is number type. How to access them? Document.write. So topics dot what? Topics dot get. Get which key? 1. That means it is going to return the first one and it is going to show the first. And second one is not 2. It is having a different name. What it is? Categories. And it is going to return an categories array. And what is advantage? Now you can easily find here, like I will say total count of keys. Count of keys. How you know total count of keys? Just we have to use topics. Topics dot what? Size. Topics dot size is going to return the keys. Earlier we have to use object dot keys, right? And length. Directly a method is present. I want to remove any key. Simply topics dot delete. Delete which key? 1. That means it is saying that now we have only one key here. So what is it? 1 is a number now. 1 is number type, and you can see it is deleting and says 1. We can easily remove all the keys. Just what we have to do, topics dot what clear. It is going to remove all the keys and it is going to display. Manipulation is very simple. Suppose you want to read all the keys, then what we have to do? For var item of topic dot topics dot keys, and see what it is going to do. Document dot write, I will print the item. So we will just change. Observe carefully. It is returning all the keys we are having. Suppose you use simply here values, it is going to return all the values it is having. And simply say entries, it is going to return both keys and values, both key and value. So it is very simple and easy to read the data, but structureless. So real time data cannot be a map. So it must be always an JSON, JavaScript object type. But some structureless data these days we have to deal very much with other databases like MongoDB and all. Then we have to use these maps, right? A simple basic example, syntactical, I'll give you here. What do where new map topics dot set key and value. So we have to use topics dot get key. We have topics dot delete key. We have to say topics dot size. We have like topics dot clear. So we can define like this. And topics dot keys. What that keys will do? It is returning an array of what keys? Keys, values, everything we can simply return. These are simple techniques. How you can define and access. So what is the difference between object and map? I will copy this example. This is an example for that. Right. So in the data types, non-primitive types, we are having these important. One is array, another one object, another one map. And you saw extra how to use an array of objects, how we can deal with array of objects and work with them. Now in the JavaScript data type, one more important you need to know is how to deal with JavaScript date type, date and time type. So what is the data type? How to deal with the date and time type of values? For example, suppose in your technologies like Java.NET, so to store a number, what is the data type? Number, int type. So int is the data type. For string, string type. Suppose you want to store a date. Date, how you will store a date? Then if you store date as a string, how you know which month, which weekday it is? How to calculate some date manipulations? That means how you would declare? Tell me how you will declare. You will use string and some suppose departure, am I right? Is equal to some date. How you will write? Suppose date is 8. So some 2023. And another string what? Some arrival. And this is like some 8 this is departure and another one is return. Suppose so 8/31/2023. Now how to calculate total days? How to calculate total days? Can you use string minus stringer? Then and you are Java developer, huh? You don't know how to deal a date. How you deal a date? In every application, date is compulsory, right? Calculation on dates are compulsory, right? How you store a date in your technology so that it will have a behavior of date. You might have some library for that. You should know about the library that is used to store a date. There must be some date interface. There must be some date class. By using that, you can allocate memory of date type, and using that, you can store. Right? That means generally you cannot store date directly by using a string type, because it will not work for any calculations, right? If you have to do with a lot of manipulations, then how do we configure is actually in JavaScript date and time values are stored in memory by using date constructor. By using date constructor. They are done by using date constructor. JavaScript date and time values are stored in memory by using the date constructor. That means what we have to do is simply, so where some now is equal to new date. Actually, this is going to, it loads current date and time into memory, and it saves that date and time. We can access the current date and time by using this. Suppose you want to store specific date and time. That means suppose we are using where MFD is some manufactured, suppose manufactured. On which date it is manufactured? How to get it? Means how to mention the date, which date it is manufactured. How to do that? We have to use is equal to new date, and into this date constructor we have to pass year, month, day, hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. This is how we store a date in memory. That is how we store the date. Inside the date constructor as a string, you have to use exactly this format. If you miss the format day, month, day, year, it will not work. It will take only year, month, day. I already explained that in date concept. Date input type date, I told you. So this is how we store the date values. What is advantage of this is now they are not string. They will behave like date. We can do all type of date and time calculations on them. JavaScript provides lot of methods. By using that, we can easily handle. That means you see how we configure that. That means how do we access here now? So JavaScript provides various methods for handling date and time. We have like get hours. It returns hour number 0 to 23. So we have get minutes. So it returns minutes number 0 to 59. Get seconds. It returns the seconds number. That's also 0 to 59. Get milliseconds. Milliseconds it returns 0 to 99. 100 millisecond is 1 second. And we have get date. It returns date number 1 to 31 depending on month. Get day. So it returns weekday number. Weekday number 0 is equal to Sunday. 0 Sunday, 1 Monday, 2 Tuesday, like that. So get month. So it returns month number. Month number 0 is equal to January. Get full year. Get full year. It returns 4 digits year number. These are all the functions for accessing the date. We have 2 local date string. We have 2 local time string. And we have 2 local string. All these things we can use. We can display in different formats. 2 local string already I showed you. To local string, I showed you how to show a currency symbol with 1000 separators. US, D, INR. So to display dates and time values, these are all the functions. But unfortunately, all these methods will return number. Then showing the correct date and time is important. Then we have to do a lot of manipulations. And this is very important because every website, when you open, for example, when you open a website, they show time. Every app, when you open, they show some time. Not only time, every app will give you a salutation like good morning, good evening, good afternoon. How? That is all JavaScript functions. By using JavaScript functions, we can show a clock. By using JavaScript functions, we can show the current date. By using JavaScript functions, we can show the salutations. You see some websites, you can show some pictures like sunset, sunrise. Open morning, you will show sunrise, evening. Even they can change the colors. Some websites on sunrise, morning different color, afternoon different color, evening different color. So many are there. Everything is managed by using these date functions. So how to store a date and how to manipulate the date. These are used for accessing the dates. Similarly, you have set hours. We have set minutes. We have set seconds. So we have like set milliseconds. So we have like set date. We have set month. We have set year. These are all used for setting new date values. To read, we have to use get functions, and to write, we have to use set. Suppose you want to change. These all functions are used only for one purpose, to change date and time. To change date and time, we have to use these functions. By using the functions, you can change the date and time. Now let's see one simple concept how to handle that. Means how we can store a date, how we can access the date and use it. For example, now I will store here a simple details where product is an object. In this product object, we have name, some name. We have a manufactured MFD, and it is a date. You cannot store dates in a quote. You can store, but they are not possible for calculations. They are only presented as it is, just like string. If you want for calculations, then you have to allocate new what? Date. What this new date will do, it is going to store the current date and time. Let's print it and see. Document.write name is equal to product.name. In the next line, MFD is equal to product.mfd. And you can see it is going to display the date and time like this. So manufactured, it is loading the current date and time. But I want specific date and time, manufactured on April 20, 2023, something. Then what we have to do into that, we have to pass. So year, first year, 2023. After that, month. So month is suppose 4 and day is 20. And you see now, if I define like this, then it is going to use that here, Thursday, April 2020. Time we haven't mentioned, so it takes default time. Time also we can mention. Suppose it is some 18, 30 and 21 and some 64. Hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. And you can see it will get the time up to that and display. You can specify, you can handle that. But remember, I don't want date like this. I want in my own style. I want like Thursday, April, or say 20 April or Thursday 20 April 2023. Then you have to design by yourself. You don't have ready-made functions for that. You don't have ready-made functions. You can try here, manufactured, I can use dot to local date string. To local date string. And you can see date string means it will display only date like this. You can use to local time string. To local time string means it will display like this. It will display like this. So if you say to local string means it is going to display like this. Right? But it is not exactly how you want it. It has ready-made functions. To display exactly how you want, you have to build it. For example, see. Let's suppose see here. How do we build that? Example, see. I will keep an example. Suppose I am printing only few details now. See document.write. First, you see here manufactured year. I want to get only year. Then we will use product.mfd.get full year. Get full year will get the year number. And you can see that is good, working fine. I want in the next line. So manufactured month. I want manufactured month. How to get the month? Product.mfd.get month. But this get month is going to return month number starting with 0 as January. So it is not displaying a word. So I am using here. So manufactured weekday. So weekday, I will get product.mfd.get day. Get day is weekday. And you can see weekday also, it is going to return 4. Right? I am using another one. So manufactured date. So manufactured manufactured date. And I will use here product.manufactured.get date. Get date is okay. Get year is okay. They are showing 20 and 2023. They are okay. But others are numbers. All are numbers. Then how you will show the word it is Thursday, Friday or Saturday? There is no option for that. JavaScript will never show any string. It will show always only numbers. Then as a developer, you have to think alternative techniques for presenting. So what we will do is, we will use a simple trick. And the trick is, we will create a weekdays array. That first will be Sunday, after that Monday, after that Tuesday. So, and after that Wednesday and Thursday. So like this. And after that Friday, and we have Saturday. Your wish. You want full or short, your wish. SUNMON, your wish, you can put. Similarly, we will create months array. Months array starting with January. So then Feb, then say March, like this I am giving. So, and April. So May, June, all these. So like this you add all others. July, August. I'm using like this. And like this you put all of them. Otherwise it will return undefined, right? Now see here. What get month is returning? Month number, right? Then what I will do is, I will pass into months array. Into months array, I will pass that month number. Then what happens? Months array have a month name. It will display. What weekday is returning? Get day is returning weekday number. We will pass into weekdays array. Then it will return the weekday number. And it depends. For example, I changed the manufactured here. I will set a new manufactured date. That means I will use product.mfd.setMonth. I am using set month 2. 2 means it is March 0, 1, 2. And month I change it to March. Then it is March is Monday. Right? 20. I am using day. I am using product.mfd.set date. Set date is not 20, I say 24. And you can see that it is going to set that 24 is Friday. It will automatically change the weekdays. But it is never going to show these words. Always is going to show only numbers. We have to write a logic and convert into words. Right now you see here, this is how we present the date. Now what I want to do is, when anybody opens my website, at the top I want to show the date time, and I want to show good morning, good afternoon, like that. Then how? Then what you have to do is, see, I will copy this array. I will delete everything else. I am creating a simple page. We will put a paragraph. And I will write body onload. Onload is what? Body load. And we will write a script. And in the script, we are having a function body load. On body load, first we will create var date is equal to, or say var now is equal to new date. And I am not passing any date, means it will load current date and time. Then I will create these two arrays. Weekdays array is there, months array is there. Better I will keep all these global. I will keep all of these globally, right? So we have date, we have weekdays and months. Now what I want to do is, I want to display in the paragraph. This paragraph I will keep align as what? Center. Now how to access document dot what? Query selector paragraph dot what? Inner HTML. It is paragraph is quotes now. Yep. And inner HTML we are using some text. What is the text we want to display here? First, I want to display in the first line. I want to display the date. Then how do you display the date? First, I will display. So manufactured here. The now is current date. Now dot get date. I will use get date. Okay. Before that, I want to display the weekday. How do we get the weekday? We have an weekdays array. Am I right? In weekdays array, now dot what? Get day. Get day will return the weekday, right? Okay. After that, what should happen? Comma. That means it will be like Tuesday and the date. Tuesday and the date. After that, we will display month and year. How do we get the month? We have a months array and we have to use now dot what? Get month. It will get the month and space. I will use here space and year. Year is now dot get full year. And this is how we are displaying, and it is going to show that and display like this. Right? It is going to display like this. And remember, this is not standard now. Every day it will be changing because we use it now and we use it date, and we are not passing any date. Whatever date it is, it will load. So tomorrow, if I open, it will open the tomorrow's date and show us. And now I want to display time. Then how do we display the time? To display the time, so in the next line, I am defining here, what is it? Now dot, so get, or I will use here to local time string. To local time string is going to display time like this. But see the key point here. Time is not ticking. Why time is not ticking? Because this is executing only once at the time of loading. Body load, what time is present, it is loading. After that, it stops. And you see, again I refresh. Again body loads. At that time, what time is there, it will display. But I want this functionality to happen every second. Every second it should execute. Then we have one trick. What is the trick is, what we do is, we will not directly write this here. We will write a function. Separately, we will write a function called set clock. Set clock is the function. In that function, we will put all this. That means we are accessing the date and time and displaying it. Now, I will call this set clock. You see, I am calling that set clock here. On body load, we are calling set clock. That means it will execute only once. It will execute only once, then it will show same, again time is stopped. But I want this function to execute at regular intervals. Every 1 second, this function should fire up. Then we will use a method, set interval. Set interval is a method. Which function we have to execute? The function name. Function name is set clock. Okay, comma, how much interval you want to execute? 1000 milliseconds is equal to 1 second. That means every 1000 milliseconds, it will execute this function. And you see now it is there. So when I refresh this, and it has to get that, and it should tick that. But in order to tick that, we have to print the clock also here, right? That means we have to execute one more option here. What it is doing, we are using, we are printing both date and time. Date and time is not required. We have to print only time. Only time need to be printed regularly. So we will do one work here. What it is going to do is it is going to display like this, and it is not changing. You see, when I refresh, then only it is changing. I want to make it tick repeatedly. So let's do another work. We will not print the time here. And what we will do is, so set clock. We will not use interval. We will just access it. Set clock. Okay. And this is going to display date. Let's go and put another paragraph here. And we put here align again center. And but this time this ID is date, and this ID is what? Time. And what we have to do, not query selector, what we have to do, get element by ID. What is it? Date. In the display, right? What we have to do now, we will use another option, another function. What is it? Set time. Okay. Set time. Another timer. I will use timer. Okay. What it should do? We have to create in now is equal to new date, and here we have to display document dot get element by ID. What it is? Time dot inner HTML now dot to local time string, to local time string. Okay. Now what should happen? This should execute every second. So we will call this by using which function? Set interval. Set interval. Which one? Set timer. How many milliseconds? 1000. That means it is going to execute every second and display. Because I separated, because I don't want date to print every time. Date should be stable. Only time should be ticking. That means it is ticking the time and displaying. Now tell me how to display salutation. That means at the top, I want good morning, good afternoon, like logic I need to print, right? For example, so we say here, I will put another paragraph, and I will keep align as center and ID as status. Okay. Now on body load, we will do one more work here. You can write a separate function for that also, or directly on body load I am writing. I will put var now is equal to what? New date, and var hours is equal to now dot get hours. We'll get the hour number na, and we will use var status is equal to document dot get element by ID. What it is? Status. And we will write a condition. If hours is greater than or equal to 0 and hours is less than or equal to 12, then we will put status dot inner HTML as good morning. Am I right? And we will write another condition. Else if hours is greater than 12 and hours is less than or equal to some 15, 16, 17, I will give. Then what should happen? Status dot inner HTML. It should say good afternoon. Like this we have to display. And we have another condition. Else what it is? Hours is greater than 17 and hours is less than or equal to 23. And status dot inner HTML. It should display what? Good evening, something like this. Anything you can do. Now you see it will show the status there. When I open this website afternoon, it will say good afternoon. We can put reasonable images also. We can put reasonable image, different types of images. You know, how do we keep images? Suppose we have a paragraph here. So IMG, this also align, I will give as what? Center. This IMG is having like poster, width is some 100 and height also 100. You can get different types of images. So good morning GIFs. You see GIF images will be there now. Different types of GIF images are there. This is an animated GIF, right? These are different animated GIFs are present. You can use different animated GIFs. It is very small animation. We can have complex animated GIFs, right? Okay, we will use this one. I will save this image. Save image as. Oh, it is saving a complete image, right? So we don't have save image is not. We will put directly from Google. So good morning. Okay. Okay. I'll take some GIF here, and any animated GIF, if it is having lot of animation, save images. It's a WebP file. Means these people are not giving to save a lot of GIF are there. Save image as. Okay, it is also WebP file. Oh, these are all WebP files they are giving. I already told you that we cannot save WebP files. I will do one thing. Because if you capture, it will not be GIF file. It will be ordinary file. I will use some public images. We have this one. Let me copy that and put in our project folder. That is Flipkart. And public images. And we will keep that image. This is a morning GIF file. Okay. How you keep that? You know, how do we access the image? So we will access the image where poster is equal to document dot get element by ID poster. Then what you do, if it is morning, then poster dot src is equal to dot dot public images slash morning dot GIF. Then like that you collect afternoon, evening and apply them in the condition. Then it will display that in our page. Right? It is going to display that in our page. The time and the salutation and this image, we can control that. This is how we can deal with the date and time. Right? So here one additional thing is, so we have to learn about timer events. We have like set interval. We have set timeout. We have set clear interval, and we have like clear timeout. These we will see in tomorrow's session with some example. Now we will go into data types. Data types are done. Now we will go into operators, OOP concepts, functions, how to handle them. Because you already learning programming, you know operators and statements, right? We don't need to concentrate on that. Just I will give a list, like if condition, for loop, and simple overview for that. We will learn now the functions and OOP concepts, which are very major, right? Tomorrow we'll continue with that. Okay, right.